Hello, Broadway fans. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I am here with Ramin Karimloo, who is taking on Nicky Arnstein in Funny Girl. And, when I saw this show, you could just feel like the excitement in the audience. People clearly have such a love for this show, and it's the first time we've had a Broadway revival of Funny Girl since the original production. Are you feeling that as you're going through previews? Like, do you get the sense, the feedback from the audience that there's just this overwhelming love and they're ready to receive your performance?
100%. I remember on the first preview we did, it was so much so that I thought, no, this is probably just an overgenerous first preview audience. Let's not count our eggs before they're hatched, as they say, or count our chickens before they're hatched. And then as each preview goes on, I'm like, well, it's remaining like this. Then I think, well, maybe it's just nostalgia, because I don't want to rest on our laurels, and you don't want to play to the adoration. You want to play to the story, and that's all we're responsible for. The rest is up to fate and however the audience receives it. And then I had industry friends come who have seen enough or just that right amount of jaded to give it to you honestly. And they said we came expecting one thing, and we loved the show. They loved how they've put more meat on the bone, so to speak, for Nicky's character arc, which then brought you into the relationship more between him and Fanny. And it helped them understand that side of Fanny Bryce more, because what Beanie's doing is just so phenomenal and just a joy to work with every night, because it's so electric and so alive. Every night's different. But going back to the response, the relationship with the audience, it's such a funny piece throughout the show. One thing with comedy, you kind of ride the wave of the audience every night, and what lands some nights more than others, you ride with that, and then another moment is more highlighted on one night with an audience, however it resonates with them. So that's keeping everything fresh every night. It feels like an opening night every night. So the audience have been amazing.
I wanted to go back to one thing you said where, putting some more meat on the bones of the script. Harvey Fierstein has done some revisions to the book, and I did feel like a lot of it, heightened their relationship between Nicky and Beanie and put a lot more spotlight on you, I think. What has been the biggest benefit to you from those revisions? What have you enjoyed about it the most?
I like how you said between Nicky and Beanie.
Characters, actors' names.
Yeah. Thing is, I have to be transparent. I didn't have any relationship with Funny Girl before this. I hadn't seen the film, and I hadn't seen any previous productions. So I didn't know what to expect. But I remember when we did the cold read, as Act 2 went on, as you saw, it became real very quickly and very complicated, in a sense of, wow, I've been through these moments. We've all been in relationships, well, many of us have. And it was very well written, especially the latter half of Act 2. I was like, wow, this is very, very adult, very quickly. So to play that, especially for me as an artist, to play the part of Nicky in this production, from the guy we meet to the guy we last see, it's a massive transformation, and it goes through a lot. But you always want to play transition. Results are boring, effort is sexy, transition is sexy. And the audience, get to go with that and then experience it with Nicky and Fanny, or Fanny and Nicky. And also, for me, how well it's written from Harvey. It's people can relate to that. And I think that's what makes this so beautiful, that people come for the nostalgia or what they think the relationship is with Fanny Bryce, because she's such an incredible woman. Now we get to play those transitions. We get to see the relationship evolve. And unfortunately, spoiler alert, not the happiest of endings.
Yeah, would you say, it's what I kind of took away from this iteration is he's almost like a tragic figure in a way. Would you think that's fair to say? Because he's sort of blinded by this ambition and can't accept ultimately help from his wife.
Absolutely, because we all can relate to that. We all have ambition. We all have a stubbornness in us, but also you are a product of your environment. We have to, as much as this is somewhat of a modern take on it, it's still a period piece in one respect, but it's still very much relevant to today, especially with, again, what's so amazing about Fanny Brice is her relentless pursuit of happiness, success, trailblazing, making molds that didn't exist. You know, she didn't wait for anyone to show her how it's done. She didn't wait to see it before it's done. She created the wave, the path for that. And I think that's something we can all take inspiration from, whoever we are in this modern world, in whatever we do. And what's tragic about Nicky is he had the same, he had the same ambition with what he wanted to establish as himself as a man, to be successful. And he truly loved Fanny, I think. He found what he could never buy. He found what no facade could ever give him, and that was authenticity.
Yeah. Are there any aspects of your own life or yourself that you can kind of draw on to relate to him?
Absolutely, especially, and I never like talking about pandemic, but I find with interviews with Nicky, it draws back to that, but it is what it is. After these 2 years that I guess we're still negotiating through, I as well have a pursuit of authenticity. I want to represent myself in the most authentic way. I want to find and surround myself with authentic things. I want to better myself than yesterday. And that comes from being uncomfortable. That comes with checking your ego. And at times it's hard. And I found an authentic partner who helps me grow that way as well. But I get it. I get what all these things we surrounded ourselves with what I've realized over the last 2 years. I had a lot of stuff and a lot of things that I thought made me successful or showed success. It means nothing, and so you strip all that away and you keep what's authentic. Having less stuff makes me feel richer than ever. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I don't know, I guess I could use a lot of those as conduits to Nick Arnstein.
Yeah. One moment I thought was so pleasantly surprised by was the perfect assignment number, because it's frankly, like, when I think theater people think of Funny Girl, it's not a number that most people would think of, because they're going to go to Don't Rain in My Parade or People, but this one I don't even think was in the original production, but you just turned this into a complete showstopper. What is it like doing that number, and why is that an important moment for Nicky?
Well, first of all, I remember when I accepted this role, Nicky only, as far as I was concerned, sang 2 half duets in Act 1, and that was it. I'm like, great, no singing. It's gonna be a heavy book show. Love it. And then I get to the cold read, and there's Temporary Arrangement, the song you're speaking of. I was like, what is this? and it still didn't even sound, or was in what you saw. It did not represent that at all. And then we collaborated in room. They were very open to collaboration, and I couldn't help myself. When they wanted a couple big notes here and there, they're like, we just need it to be bigger. They were umming and ahhing. I was like, like my inner voice, like, don't do it. Don't say it, Ramin. I was like, I can't help it. Listen, if you want these notes, I think this note will go here. Let's try this. So there was a lot of trial and error, and it was a lot of fun developing it. But what made me really enjoy singing it, because I don't know how much I enjoy singing anymore, but for this, I adore it because it pushes the story. So why it's important for Nicky here is, again, what's important is what we hear him say to Ziegfeld about the deal, like this thing he's putting together, this casino. He wants to control it. He wants to keep bad money out. He had every intention of doing this correctly. And then with Fanny slightly emasculating him, want him to be home with the baby, which is pretty amazing that she was only trusting him with the baby. And in a day and age where the roles were usually the other way around of who was the breadwinner, as much as he loved his family, but he still wanted to provide his way for them. With Temporary Arrangement, what raises the stakes, which is fun to play, is, okay, he accepts Fanny's donation to the casino, but in his head, he knows that this is a good thing. It wasn't a risk as far as he's concerned. It wasn't a dodgy deal. Everything was above board, and her money's above board. So The only problem was he's accepting his wife's money, but he's like, temporary arrangement. I do this. The casino's great. Everything is, he's going to print money after this. And unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans.
Yeah. And in terms of the singing of this song and the whole show, really, it's kind of a different style of music than we're used to hearing you sing in, past roles like Les Mis or Phantom. Was preparing for this show different? Was it a different journey to find the specific sound for this role?
Absolutely. It's one of those things. What seems simple sometimes is the most difficult. And with there's this sort of jazzy swing feel, there's a lazy approach to it. When I hear like Sinatra, even like Bublé and folks like that, how they approach it, there's this almost real lazy approach to the vocal, but it's not. They are on it. They're in such control of the time and melody, and that's things I'm not great at. My internal metronome is awful. And so it was again, it's fun to be uncomfortable. It's fun to explore things that's not really you, and you find ways to make, as a person and artist, you want to go towards the character. As I'm one of those that like to go that way as opposed to bring the character to make it more like Ramin. And there was, so it was a bumpy road, and I would say it's been a work in progress, but it's been the first time where I've been so grateful to have previews to really find its feet. And I really understood why shows have previews. Sometimes I'm like, come on, let's just get it going. Why do we have to call it previews? And even though there's growth and evolution, it's still exciting to see like these incarnations of the characters as we get to a certain place. But when they call it, oh, we freeze the show now, or this is the opening night, I think it'll always have that evolution going back to Harvey's writing, the comic aspect of it, where you don't know how it's going to land till each night with that specific audience. And that's what I love and what I've missed about being live on stage, is that intimate, immediate relationship we get with thousands of strangers in one night. And that's something that's very personal, which is why sometimes, you pandemic lifestyle, we get a lot of streaming things, and everyone's like, oh, we'll just stream it. Oh, we'll just stream it. No, I'm tired of that. Some things that are meant to be recorded will be set up a certain way, but sometimes, not everything is for everyone immediately. This is just for this audience. Tomorrow is for that audience. And that's very exciting as well, because it's a different relationship.
Yeah. Very thankful to have live performance back.
Oh,
it's
man.
been wonderful to be back in theaters after so long.
I kind of did forget how important it is, and I'm not trying to make us sound like we're important people. We're not. We play dress up for a living, let's be honest. But it's important to have this community feeling of, for those who want to go to the theater, for those who want to perform, well, there's a space for that. And it is important because arts, I think, is important in our culture, in our lifestyle, even if it's just for pure entertainment. You don't even have to take messages from it. And if you find something deeper, fantastic. But as humans, we do sometimes need to shut off more than ever.
Yeah, and there's so much in this script to dive into, like just with you and Beanie alone, there's, you run the whole gamut from comedy to really intense moments that Nicky has a lot of anger in him at times. What is it like working with her? Does it shift every night, those dynamics? Do you find new things every night?
It always changes. She's so live. From the moment I met her, it was a seamless relationship. I felt, hopefully, I can't speak for her, but I felt this immediate trust, I've got someone I'm going to grow with, contribute with, create with. She's one of the funniest artists I've had the pleasure of working with. Jane Lynch, of course, I've been a fan for years. And how cool is Jared Grimes? So I remember for the first few weeks of rehearsal, I kept phoning Mandy back home. I'm like, I don't know what it is I'm offering. I know what they're bringing because they are exceptional. But I've been learning from them every day, and also getting the confidence to find what it is that I'm going to bring. And now I'm like, I get it. And we have this great contribution from everyone. The cast is just incredible. But Beanie is just, I, she blows me away, especially now. It is what, she's a big star. She's doing a ton of interviews as well as her performance every night. She's an athlete, and I'm in awe of how she's doing it with such grace, with such energy, poise, inspiration. It sounds like you got to say these things. I wouldn't. She's amazing. Beanie's something else.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to touch a little bit on your sort of total career, because when I thought about your work, I realized like a lot of your roles come from revivals, not all of them, obviously, but you have a lot of these great moments of you stepping into roles like Jean Valjean, or whether it's Evita or Phantom. Is there something about doing that, like stepping into a classic, that really speaks to you? Or is that just sort of where you have found yourself?
Maybe it's a bit of both because, growing up, we hear these shows and that's what inspires you. So you're like, I want to play Phantom. And then Valjean is something I never wanted to play. But, when I was listening to Evita as a kid, I'm like, oh, Che, this would be cool to play. So I don't necessarily have a game plan as an artist. Maybe now I have a bit of one because you want longevity, you want diversity, you want to, like every time I change my look, a lot of my friends are like, man, you're like a chameleon, you change all the time. I'm like, well, that's great, because my role models, whether they know it or not, is like the Sam Rockwell, folks like him, Adam Driver, these modern greats that I'm like, you never know what they're going to bring. So that's what I'm striving towards. But, we're inspired by a lot of these shows that are still around for a reason. They're still relevant today, and they're malleable in how you approach them. So it gets exciting to play those roles. Like there's still some revivals I'd love a crack at, like Sweeney Todd or Guido and Nine, Bobby and Company. And of course, you as actors, you want something fresh to play. Like doing Nicky in this, although it's classed as a revival, who has seen a production of it? It's never been on Broadway. For me, it feels like a new piece because I knew jackass about it. So it's been great to play that, but it's, every time I try and make plans, life goes, yeah, right, you're going to actually do this. So all I try and do now is be better than yesterday and be open to what's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic job in this one, and can't wait to see what lies ahead. Hopefully, maybe I think Guido and Nine would be amazing. But thank you so much for sitting down with me, Ramin. Everyone who's out there watching, subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep in touch with us this Broadway season for all of our coverage. And thanks again.
Thank you. See you soon.